And good morning. Welcome to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. I'm your host, Dave Carney, and sitting behind me is the owner of the aforementioned Trauma Center studio, the man, the myth, the legend, the recovery room.
Morning,
Boss
Dave.
himself, Matt Ellens, top of the morning, big guy. How the heck you doing today?
I'm all right, Dave. My friend celebrated Valentine's Day with Ashley yesterday, so I'm a little rough around the edges, but
I like
it was a
this.
good time. Thank you for everybody joining us this morning. Hopefully, we got a good show for you.
Yeah, we're going to have a real fun show for everybody this morning coming up here on the Sports Carnival. As a matter of fact, we're going to be bringing on board for the very first time to the Sports Carnival a good friend of both of ours, Nate Coleman, who is the proprietor and really the guy that runs everything with respect to the Good Fight. Of course, his trusty assistant Sana does a lot of work with him, but Nate's the guy that started the Good Fight, and we've got a really, really important spaghetti dinner coming up this Saturday at the Moose Lodge in La Crosse, which is going to benefit the Good Fight, which does a lot of great work for folks and the kids here in the La Crosse area. So we're really excited to talk to Nate coming up at about 8:30 this morning. We're really stoked to get ourselves all lathered up for what could be an interesting conversation. Yesterday, Matt, we were talking about bar movies and which were the greatest bar movies of all time. I slept on this and thought of some others, like Studio 54 was a great bar movie because that had to do with, well, one of the most famous bar nightclubs of all time. We had things, there were some others that I didn't even remember. James Gandolfini was in this really good movie called The Drop, which was about a neighborhood bar. I think it was in Philly or New York that was used as sort of a drop point for various members of the underworld, if you will, sort of akin to what James Gandolfini played in The Sopranos, a gangster. That was a pretty interesting bar movie. Listen, bar movies are a really interesting subtopic. And I know that my friend Jeff from Harders asked me, where are we getting our topics? Jeff, we're getting them from over here. We're getting them from over there. We like to mix and match and pick and choose as we see fit. Today, I've got a poll question for our audience members up on our Facebook group page, which is actually kind of a robust poll question. What's your favorite sports type movie of all time? All right. Like, so do you like baseball movies, basketball movies, football movies, hockey movies, boxing or MMA movies, auto racing movies? I did put in a catch-all for other because some people might say, I like Winter Olympic movies. There's been a couple that have really focused on skiing. We had Cool Runnings, which was a movie about the Jamaican bobsled team.
John Candy.
Right? Can't fit that one into a major for professional sport category. So we tried to leave it as open as possible. Now, that's the Facebook group page poll question. If you're on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney, the poll question that we've got for you there is, which of the four major professional all-star games is your favorite? We've got the NBA All-Star game coming up this weekend. Of course, Giannis will be representing. He's the leading vote getter for the East, and he's going to be the captain, essentially, of that team. Then, of course, you've got LeBron James, who had 21 points last night, his first game back after breaking Kareem's record in a Lakers victory over the Pels. You know, this could be an exciting all-star game. Some people have absolutely zero affection for the NBA's all-star game. Maybe you like Major League Baseball. That's always been an exciting one. The NHL all-star game.
They fucked that up this year, sorry.
They did. But I'm just saying that's traditionally one that people really enjoy. I think we've all decided the Pro Bowl is pretty much a nothing burger, but we did put up that as well. So take one of our two poll questions this morning, again, at the Sports Carney on our Twitter feed and the Facebook group page. Let me know what your favorite sports type movie is and or what your favorite all-star game is. Matt, you told me off air this morning right before we got started. It's really not that hard of a question for you to answer. You're a big hockey movie fan.
I went hockey right off the bat, to be honest with you, because obviously we go baseball. Sorry, there's Major League. There's Field of Dreams. There's so many baseball movies out there that we can go through, the love that we can go through. But when it comes to professional sports footballs or sports movies, they're really, in my opinion, hit or miss. Slapshot's always going to be one of the greatest hockey movies of all time, in my opinion. So that's why I went hockey. If we get into NFL games, then we're talking the program, college. So that's college, but football movie.
Sure.
Unfortunately, a lot of kids died after watching that movie because they laid in the middle of the road. Any given Sunday? I don't know. Not one of the greatest movies. Somebody loses.
That was okay. That was fun.
I was okay until an eyeball came out on the field. And then I was like, I don't really see anybody losing an eye by getting poked in the eye in the NFL, even though beanbag to the eye did happen, thanks to the referee in the Browns back in the day. I can't remember that one. I don't know, man. There's so many to choose for. Boxing, play to the bone. You know,
Are we thinking about all the Rockies? I mean, so you've got those
Rocky, I guess,
right there.
What is it? Antonio Banderas and Woody Harrelson. Is it? I believe in what Play to the Bone. You fuck one goat, you're a goat fucker for life.
Sure. There's also
classic lines of all time.
Oh, dude, there's so many great boxing movies. This is why this is such an interesting question for me. You've got all the Rocky movies. You've got the Creed movies. You've got things like the Great White Hype. You ever see the Great White Hype? Samuel L. Jackson. You had Keenan Ivory Wayans was in that movie. Fantastic flick. Fantastic
you see that
flick.
they're remaking White Men Can't Jump?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
It's going to be horrible.
Why are they doing that?
I have no idea. It doesn't pertain to the world that we live in now. Obviously, white men can jump.
Absolutely.
It's not Larry Bird anymore. So I don't know. I think Rosie Perez might be coming back for it. She's the only one. I know that's not true, but oh my God, it's going to be released, I believe, this year, and it just looks absolutely
I have heard
horrible.
I've heard nothing about this. Right now, I'm like literally swimming in just emotion right now because that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh.
You know, Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, excuse me.
Yep.
When Wesley Snipes tells Woody, that Woody can't hear Jimi Hendrix because he's white.
Yep.
That was one of the greatest conversations of all time. To watch Woody Harrelson struggle to dunk that basketball and to watch Wesley Snipes have to take his money was one of those things that you sort of roll over in your stomach time and time again. Foreman is checking in this morning, and this is another great movie, Diggstown. So Diggstown was a movie with James Woods was in Diggstown. Also, help me out with who else was in that one because I can't recall off the top of my head, but James Woods was one of the main characters in Diggstown. Really good movie.
Do you remember The Gladiator? Not with Russell Crowe, bare knuckle fighting.
Okay.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
So no, and I'll tell you why. Because as much as I am a boxing fan, Matt, and I did host an MMA show in Las Vegas for years, I absolutely deplore mixed martial arts. I find it to be the least fucking fascinating, the most boring thing that I've ever had to watch. As a matter of fact, this was something that it was hard for me to take money to actually have to talk about that shit. It was hard for me to take money, and that is not something that is traditionally hard for me to do. You give me some money, I'll talk about whatever you want. Mixed martial arts man, I just couldn't get into it. I really couldn't. If they stood up and fought each other, I'd probably be inclined to watch it. But rolling around on the ground and, just getting into a really awkward rear naked choke, it just missed me. It just missed me.
I can understand that, I guess. To me, I really don't enjoy it, but like you said, some people just enjoy watching
Absolutely.
that, and there's always money on it, so people are going to continue to watch.
Well, listen, I've said this once, and I'll say it again. You walk into a place, and I'll just say any town, USA, and let's say it's a bar like Chances Are. And if you know what Chances Are is, then you know what kind of bar that is. I can almost guarantee you that if you walk into any one of those kinds of bars across the country, you're going to find some MMA up on a TV.
And I think you'll find it anywhere, no matter where you go.
Yeah, no, but specifically in those places. And so I'd had this particular take, and then years ago, when I was kind of first to town, I was walking around downtown with at that time, my wife, and we walked into Chances Are. I had no idea what kind of bar that is. And on the television was what? Mixed martial arts, UFC. Told you. I knew this was a thing. All right, Jimmy the Haggerty checking in this morning. Jimmy, top of the morning to you. Coach Carter, Miracle, Varsity Blues, Major League, Cinderella Man. Cinderella Man, another good movie. Russell Crowe, much like in The Gladiator, but he was an old-timey boxer.
And it's also based on a true story, which is also great. Is obviously back in, I believe it was the 20s. Great movie. I'm sorry, we didn't even bring up Hoosiers when we bring up basketball games.
No.
I mean, I guess we're creating another bracket, my friend, with all the movies that we're going through for sports movies.
Well, that's why we're doing this. The exercise that we have put together this morning is to give us a whole lot of different ways in which we can saunter. And listen, this is going to be a sauntering portion of the year. We've got NFL football wrapped up. The XFL does start on Saturday. Whoop-de-whoop. We'll see what that looks like. Who knows? Maybe people will show up. But this is the preparation time, Matt, and this is something you've done for the first time now, probably in about 20 years. This is the preparation time to work your ass through the dog days of what becomes spring and summer. Because NFL, college football, they get to rule our sports lives. When they go away for a bit, we have to get creative on what it is we're talking about. Because I'll tell you what, Rob Dog was checking in this morning about Brewers win totals, saying, the analytics people have the Brewers penciled in for 77 to 85 wins. We're not fucking talking about the Brewers in April and May. Like, that's just not going to happen. There's nothing to talk about. There's 185,000 more games to go before these guys get close to being in the postseason. So wake me up with baseball around July, and then we'll start to see how see how the standings are shaking. But if you're telling me that it's Tuesday in the middle of the fucking year and I have to talk about, Willie Adames hitting a single and Christian Yelich going 0 for 3, I think I'd rather just fucking end it now, right? Like that's hard stuff. That's really hard stuff.
I hopefully, excuse me, we don't go down the NASCAR road because that starts this week, and that ain't really my cup of tea either.
No.
We got the NBA obviously coming up. Hockey. I'm sorry if you ever guys go on Bet USA, just bet against the Blackhawks for the rest of the year. I'll just let everybody know that's just my one take for everybody when it comes to betting. Just bet against the Blackhawks, especially if they trade Kane and Taves. Dave and I are going to try to fill in. That's why we got some movie talks and all this other stuff coming up. But yeah, it's going to be kind of hard for the next month or two.
Well, you would think that it would be. And I thought that especially during COVID, Matt, when we had 2 years without sports, this is when it really flexed my creative muscles and really allowed me to get into some of the weeds that we wouldn't have maybe been able to get into had we been full on with sports. So I have zero fear. Foreman saying, or asking, I should say, is Above the Rim a basketball movie? Of course it is. Above the Rim's absolutely a basketball movie. It's also a pretty decent vehicle for Tupac Shakur. That was another good movie for Tupac Shakur. And you can also think of this, documentaries. Guys, it doesn't just have to be fictional feature films. What about Hoop Dreams? That was one of my favorite movies of the mid-1990s. Do you remember that movie, Hoop Dreams?
I do remember Hoop Dreams. I'm I'm surprised that Foreman didn't bring up, what is it, basketball, or when they combined?
That's a sports movie.
Yeah, is that? Yep. So
you betcha. Yep. I was going to say Tyrell and Yoshi. We're going to bring that up to us this morning.
Sure. That
because
made sense.
They're big, Trey Parker and South Park fans. All right, we've got a really fun one coming up here this morning on the Sports Carnival. As you can tell, Matt and I are in fine form. He might think that he's under the weather from hanging out with Ashley on his Valentine's Day, but by the time we get to 8:30, that's going to be all gone. And at 8:30, Nate Coleman from The Good Fight is going to be joining us. We'll tell you about the spaghetti dinner that's coming up this Saturday, again, at the Moose Lodge, and what it's going to do to help benefit The Good Fight, one of this area's premier organizations when it comes to helping kids and their families in need. Stick around. We're going to be back in about 1 minute, and when we do, I want to get into a different conversation. I want to get into a conversation about why one particular coach who seems to have about as good of a resume as any that I can find will not get an opportunity to be a head coach. Stay tuned. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just a regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
The Social Distancing Sport Association, or SDSA, presents guidelines to safer athletics. For example, when participating in basketball, remember the Harden rule. That's right, James Harden is a man ahead of his time. Number 1, when playing defense, that is if you choose to, keep 3 to 6 feet between you and your opponent. Never double team and always appear disengaged or aloof. On offense, be sure to isolate yourself from your teammates. Dribble the shot clock down, rarely pass, and finally take a 30 to 35-foot shot. This has been brought to you by Arm's Length Under Armour. Go ahead and play. Just stay at least an arm's length away.
Welcome back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios in downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, powered by the Recovery Room. Matt mentioned one of our great sponsors earlier today, BetUS. Go to betus.com, enter promo code CARNIVAL. That's very easy to spell, CARNIVAL, and get yourself 125% free play money. Coming up this afternoon, it'll be a little bit early, Matt, so we'll have to play a teeny bit of musical chairs downstairs. When I'm working at the Recovery Room, 4:15 p.m. to be exact, I'll be on ESPN 105.5 with John Papadopoulos and giving you my play of the week. Now, my play of the week is going to be focusing in on tonight's Bucks and Bulls game. The Bucks are going to be in Chicago taking on the Bulls 6:30 p.m. The game will be nationally televised on TNT. I'm not exactly sure as of this moment because it's still a little bit too early for this information to be percolating to the top. If Giannis Antetokounmpo, if Chris Middleton, if Drew Holiday are going to play, the Bulls are, of course, not in playoff contention. The Bucks are going to have, if they do rest their starters tonight, they're going to give these guys a number of days off until they have to play another competitive basketball game, save for the All-Star break, because, of course, Giannis is playing. So is Thanasis and the other brother, Costas, they're all going to be in the skills challenge together, which should be pretty interesting. But I will be focusing in on that particular game tonight for the play of the week on ESPN 105.5. Jen Bank is checking in this morning with us, and Jen Bank brings up an incredible film, Blue Chips. Now, Blue Chips is a movie we've talked a lot about on this program. Why? Because our good friend Bob Ibeck, the former PR director of the Chicago Cubs, Matt, actually wrote the book that inspired the movie Blue Chips. He wrote the book called Caught in the Net, which he co-wrote with the former Clemson head coach Tates Locke, who was the guy that they built Nick Nolte's character around in Blue Chip. So Tates Locke, when he was coaching Clemson, set up a fake black fraternity along with the university to get guys like Tree Rollins. You remember Tree Rollins played for the Atlanta Hawks when we were kids? Big center, great shot blocker, college dominant. Set up a fake black fraternity to help lure in these black athletes because, of course, Clemson in the heart of the racist damn South. So this was one of those original sins in college sports, right? That's why Blue Chips talked about how much they were paying the players. Now, listen, how much Tree Rollins made in college versus the pros, I don't know. Some people say that Shaq made more at LSU than he did in his first couple of seasons in Orlando. But that Blue Chips movie, Jen, great movie and a really nice tie to one of our favorite former guests here on the program, somebody who we're still trying to get back on the program. You know, Bob's been really, really gracious with us in the past, and we'll try to work him back onto the show as well. Breacher says there's an old school Breacher, is there an old school WWF night? What does that mean? Like a classic baseball game, Breacher? Like right. When the old guys play or something? What does that mean?
I don't know if he's asking us to talk classic WWF, like Andre the Giant back in the day shit, or if I put it on the poll, I guess. Breacher, send us in the right direction. We can talk about everything or anything, I guess, if you know me and Dave by now after 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I was going to say that one. I would be interested to see if you could flesh that out. As a matter of fact, Breacher is, well, he's not our biggest WWF fan. I think that's probably Kyle Morningwood, but I know that he definitely has some affection for that. I really do.
Who was the white basketball player in Blue Chips? Because you had Penny Hardaway, you had Shaquille O'Neal.
I don't remember. That's a good question. And maybe this is where Breacher was actually going. I missed one of his earlier comments. He said movie night at the Recovery Room, different themed nights, rom-com Tuesdays, horror Wednesdays. And then that makes sense when I go down here to the, what about an old school WWF night? That I can see now. Makes a lot more sense. Kyle Morningwood is popping up with us this morning, as Morningwood traditionally does, at least if your body's healthy and you've got some vim and vigor left. WWF 80s night, and it's Morningwood. I'm not following this one, Kyle. And what is he being so chippy for? Look at this. He's like, wait, dumbass. Was Breacher? Oh, I see. Wood was asking if Breacher had an old school night. Okay, fellas. All right. I get you here. Boy, popping around these comments without Chad is now a little interesting. So we'll get you. We'll get you. At least we talked about you, Morningwood, right? Isn't that always the thing?
24% larger this morning, Morningwood, I believe.
Yeah, but also a lot less sperm count and testosterone. So there's that. Let's see. Rob Dog and Stoddard checking in says, you need to watch Without Limits. It's a great movie about Steve Prefontaine. What is a Without Limits? Check on that for me, Matt.
Well, Prefontaine is running. So,
I
believe so, yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess. I mean, listen, if it's a good movie, I'll watch it. I'm still waiting to watch Oscar Pistorius try to play some superhero or something. Like, aren't they going to make a South African movie where Oscar Pistorius, who had his legs amputated, killed his wife, but I think kind of got away with it for a while?
They're letting him out of jail this year. He's only serving like 6 to 8 years after he shot her. It's ridiculous with how he's an ass.
Well, down there, I don't think that they have as much. I don't think the penalty was as much. It's like if you accidentally say you killed your wife, I think it was like a 5-year sentence.
Yep.
And then you got some sort of rebate, like on your taxes.
Yep, exactly.
Right. Because it's like, well, did she? No, never mind. I could. Yeah. That's a different thing. We'll not go there. But I love where we're headed. We're getting a lot of different answers as far as the sports questions go. And let me do this now. Check on our Facebook group page and just find out where you guys are at so far this morning, because we do have 2 poll questions, one on Twitter, one on the Facebook group page. What's your favorite sports movie on the Facebook group page right now? Football is winning with 40% of football is winning with 40% of the votes. Baseball's got 30, Matt. Hockey's got 20, basketball with 10. Not a single vote yet for boxing or MMA, auto racing, or other. I'm going to throw a vote onto boxing here because I'm a huge Rocky fan. And the number one reason why I think I got into boxing when I was a little kid was Rocky. The number two reason was my dad was a huge, huge Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, fan. Roberto, Hector Macho Camacho, I was going to say.
Yep, Roberto
Duran, Tommy Hearns, all of these guys from the 80s. And even before that, my dad just loved. So I was really into boxing early. As a matter of fact, the first subscription I ever had to a magazine was Ring Magazine when I was like 10 years old. I loved checking out the rankings and the IBF, the WBA, the WBC, seeing who was coming and going. And also, this is how I knew originally that boxing was not okay. The competition in the ring isn't predetermined like it is in the WWE or WWF, but the rankings are, because Mike Tyson came out of fucking prison and was ranked like number one in the world. He hadn't fought in years. And then Mike Tyson's opponents that they would put him up against would somehow be ranked in the top 10 or 15. Like Peter McNeely was somehow ranked in one of these magazines as a top 15 fighter. And Peter McNeely literally came in and laid down against Mike Tyson. Like literally came in and laid down. Best thing Peter McNeely did after that fight was get into, I think it was a Pizza Hut commercial where he got knocked out by the side of the slice. So it was like a big piece of pizza came to the side of his mouth and he got knocked out by it.
Well, I remember I remember obviously when we talked bets back in the day, it would be how long, or would you even how much money would it cost for you to step in the ring with Mike Tyson and take one punch? He was the scariest, baddest man in the world. And that's basically what some of these guys did. They just went into the boxing round, one round, if that, and they got punched in the face by Mike Tyson. They got their paycheck and they got the fuck out.
Well, okay, so for me as a person, right, it would have to be enough to set up whoever it is I care about. In this case, not many people, but let's say John, okay? I would have to have enough to be able to set him up for the rest of his life, because if I get punched by Mike Tyson, I'm dying, dude. Like Mike Tyson would fucking kill me.
How much money would it take? $1 million?
No, it would have to be more than $1 million, because that's not much in today. I'd say $5 million today. I'd let a prime era Mike Tyson punch me. See, at this point in time now, Mike would still probably kill me. Probably, but what would more likely happen is that he would gravely injure me, and then I would be brain dead and wasting all of that money to pay the fucking nurses and all that shit. So it would have to be a prime Mike Tyson, because that would kill me, and then I would have enough to set up my son, I suppose. Greg is checking in with us this morning on our YouTube page. He says Hustle, the recent Adam Sandler movie with Juancho Hernan Gomez, is pretty solid. I agree. I didn't watch that whole thing because I couldn't buy the fact that he and Queen Latifah were married. Like, Queen Latifah is obviously not into men. And then second of all, not into that kind of man. I found it really hard to get that part. I just found it hard to get over that part.
So Queen married to Tretch?
I don't think so, dude.
All right.
Not from my recollection.
And for me, I guess we could have brought up Adam Sandler yesterday. I'm not a big we could have put him on the poll with Nick Cage and Patrick Swayze. I'm not a big fan of Adam Sandler. I'm sorry. It's just the same thing over and over again. But
his recent films have...
Hustle was a great movie.
It wasn't bad. I really loved Hidden Gems. That was the movie that Kevin Garnett was in. Now, that's not a specific sports movie, but it was about sports. So basically, Adam Sandler, this is the Netflix movie where he owns that jewelry shop, and he's just a degenerate gambler. That I thought was a really good movie too. Surprise ending. So listen, Greg, I don't think you're wrong. Hustle's another good movie, and Hernan Gomez played a really neat role in that. I mean, he really did. Thomas is checking in from UW and says, Cool Runnings, the story of the Jamaican bobsled team. Really enjoyed this one. Thomas loves the classic Disney movies. He really does. Thomas is a good boy, and he's going to be 20 years old. Remember, we asked him how old he was going to be? Thomas checked in very early this morning and said this, Matt. Good morning. Happy Friday, Junior. That's right. It is Friday, Junior. What a crazy, hectic, and chaotic evening last night at the Rec. To answer your question about how old I will be on March 2nd, I will be 20. Let's make it a great day. Okay, Thomas, you will be 20. You see, Matt, one more year and Thomas can come hang out with us at the Recovery Room.
Sounds like a plan.
It really does. All right, speaking of the Recovery Room, Trauma Center Studios, powered by the Recovery Room, back open today, 11 o'clock. I will be down there with Matt, and we will be getting you ready for a really nice Friday, Junior. We've got some great lunch specials, including the traditional or spicy Euro and prime rib sandwich. Yummy. It's going to be awesome. Matt, I do want to talk a little bit, though, about something that you and I have pondered openly, at least to each other, over the last, not just couple of weeks, but couple of years, as these coaching carousels have turned and turned. And we have seen a lot of coaches that maybe we didn't even know who they were get NFL head coaching jobs, right? And I'll just say, for what it's worth, that guy out of Arizona, what was that? Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah, and he came out of, I believe, Texas Tech.
Sure. Who?
Yep.
I'm serious. Like, who? Oh, wait, that's right. He coached Patrick Mahomes for a cup of coffee. So you figured this is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, who has now led, as far as an offensive coordinator is concerned, a team to 2 Super Bowl victories, 3 appearances in the last 4 years, and 5 consecutive trips to the AFC Championship game. Now, I know what you're going to say, guys. Andy Reid calls the plays. Awesome. That's important to note. I get it, because perhaps that's one of the reasons why Bieniemy isn't being given the kind of opportunity that he should. But my next thought is this. If Eric Bieniemy is there for no reason, why does he actually even have a job? So if Eric Bieniemy's job is to do nothing but stand on the sideline or be in the booth while Andy Reid's mastery works itself out on the field, why is he even there? Because don't you think that if the Kansas City Chiefs could get away with somebody, well, I would say if they could get away without having somebody at all, and it's just Andy Reid calling the plays, wouldn't they do that? Eric Bieniemy, in my estimation, gets overlooked for one really big reason. He's a black guy.
I agree.
I know that sounds like bullshit to many of you, but it's really hard for me to parse this any other way. I can't understand for the life of me how guys like Jeff Saturday, regardless of a relationship with Jim drunk fucking Irsay, or Cliff Kingsbury, or a number of these coaches.
I'll even throw up Matt Nagy got a job with the Bears. He fucked that up pretty good too. So he also worked for the Chiefs. You had Doug Peterson also with the Chiefs. Doug is a decent coach in my opinion, came back.
Well, Doug's a Super Bowl coach now.
Also 100%. But Eric Bieniemy just keeps getting overlooked, and it makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, it does, because I think we've hit on what this is.
True.
This is still part of what the NFL needs to deal with. And I don't think that, listen, I don't think it's all 32 NFL owners or all 32 NFL teams or a conspiracy against like hiring black people to be head coaches. What I do think happens oftentimes is this. You get players or coaches, they go into these coaching carousels. How do they interview with the owner of a team becomes important, right? And not to say that Bieniemy hasn't nailed his interviews. I don't know. But there is something about having a shared perspective in many cases from these owners that I think has a lot to do with who gets hired. So Jerry Jones had Mike McCarthy come and stay at his house, right? And hang out over a weekend, chop it up, talk football, whatever. And it found Mike McCarthy a new job. I don't know the last time one of these owners had Eric Bieniemy over to stay at the house, or Brian Flores.
Brian Flores is right where I was going to go, brother. Davey just hit it right there. Now he's defensive coordinator for the Vikings.
Yeah.
And
big boon for Minnesota, by the way.
Yep, exactly. And with everything that's going on with the NFL, and once again, you brought it up kind of shortly. Look at the Eagles. They lost the Super Bowl. They just lost both of their coordinators. The Chiefs, consistent, and nobody went after Bieniemy, and he's coming back. If every other 31 teams in the NFL better be ready for the Chiefs next year, because they're rolling it back with the same consistency that they've had. And how do the Cardinals hire a coach that just got destroyed by Eric Bieniemy and Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, I think that Trempolo Badger is bringing up a good point here. He's like, shit, we got LaFleur. What's he done except to manage Rodgers? Eric Bieniemy would be interesting with Green Bay. I totally agree. And this is another thing for Matt LaFleur, and I'm not trying to pick on him just because of, him being a Packer coach or having, managed Aaron Rodgers. But you look at a guy like Matt LaFleur. We've elevated him into the echelon of great coaches in the NFL. And for what? What has he done except for, as Trempolo Badger managed Aaron Rodgers? Not saying you can take anything away from the record that he's put together, because outside of George Seifert, Matt LaFleur's got the best record of a new NFL head coach in the history of the league, right? Like he and George Seifert, who took over for Bill Walsh, another really good coach with a really good team, have the best records to start off an NFL career. But I agree. There are guys like Matt LaFleur, who's the coach, and this is where it's kind of hard because they've actually been successful. But who's the coach for Cincinnati? I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head right now. The Bengals.
Yep.
Nick Sirianni with the Eagles. Again, you can't take anything away from these guys. They've both been to Super Bowls, right? Nick Sirianni's been to a Super Bowl, so we know he's good. And of course, the coach for Cincinnati, which I can't believe I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but he's excellent, and he's been to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that these guys can't coach, but when you do look around, Zach Taylor, thank you. When you do look around the NFL, think about Urban fucking Meyer getting a job in Jacksonville and being completely over his skis from moment one. He'd never coached an NFL roster. He had no idea what he was doing. That's a big miss. That job could have easily gone to somebody else. There's a lot of different times in which you can look at these coaches, see their success later and say, okay, that was a good hire. But why aren't other guys getting these opportunities? And I think that, unfortunately, it does come back to, in many respects, a bit of the race card. And if the NFL didn't have a problem with this, they wouldn't have had to institute a rule, the Rooney Rule, just to make sure that people of color got opportunities to be interviewed.
That they're still not executing right.
To be interviewed.
Yeah, just to interview. It's amazing. I also think you have the race card involved. Now it's a relatability. Eric Bieniemy, in my opinion, obviously being a black man, can relate to more and more of the athletes in the league. If you go to ageism, you and I talked off air for quick second. I can't believe that Rex Ryan might be the next defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. To me, you think that's a good fit, but for me, I think that he's a little older, a little long in the tooth. But if that's the way Sean Payton wants to go, that's the way they want to go. Listen,
I don't think age really has to be the determining factor, because Pete Carroll is 70 some years old, right? And this guy is, as you know, he's as much of a player's coach as there probably is.
I think Pete smokes with the guys off season, so that's why that's relatability there.
That's relatability there. All right, guys, this conversation is one that we've talked a lot about over the last couple of years, especially on my program, and it's going to be a conversation that I think rightly needs to be discussed for years to come, because it's still the representation in the NFL from the coaching ranks, from the GM ranks, is not that of the player body, right? It really isn't. And when that does start to become a little bit more reflective, like the NBA is, then I think we'll start to see some more of these dominoes fall, like Eric Bieniemy and others. But it's going to take people knocking on the door and continuing to make this point, I think, before that really changes. Let's do this. We'll step aside for a brief second. We'll say hi to our buddy over at Preferred Insurance, Anthony and Brian, one of the proud supporters here on the Sports Carnival. And when we come back, Nate Coleman from The Good Fight's going to be jumping aboard and joining the Sports Carney. And we'll be talking about their big spaghetti fundraiser coming up this Saturday. Stay tuned. Back in about 37 seconds. Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices. And welcome back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios, powered by the Recovery Room. Hope you guys and gals are off to a great start. As Thomas mentioned, it is Friday Junior, and we love having Friday Junior because, Matt, it brings us one step closer to Friday, and Friday, of course, brings us a step closer to the weekend. Anything we can do to get through the week, the mental gymnastics necessary to get through the week, we're totally willing to do. I want to welcome to the program for the first time here on the Sports Carnival, Nate Coleman, who is a good fight. And Nate, turn down your browser. We'll see if we can get that echo up.
I don't know what to do. Do what?
Okay, I was going to say you turn down the volume on the browser. Perhaps. We'll see if we can get that worked out there for Nate, so we don't get a big echo here. If we do, Nate, let's just do this. Why don't you tell us about the Good Fight and what your dinner is going to benefit the Good Fight this upcoming weekend?
The Good Fight Community Center serves kids in our community from age 10 to 18. During the school year, we're an after-school program. We provide tutoring. We have a boxing program, art, music, a ton of stuff just to keep our community kids out of trouble. We provide a meal every day. So, and for a lot of these kids, that meal is their dinner meal for the day. Times are hard. Parents are trying to make ends meet. So we do that. We have speakers come in and talk to our kids. We have tutors. We have a math club. We try to help kids find their best selves. During the school year, we also are in the middle schools working with the school district to help kids with school connectivity, school achievement, lots of other things. And then during the summer, we have proprietary programs that we administer, also focused on education. So from 5 to 8 this Saturday night, $15 at the Moose Lodge. You'll get a good dinner from them. Our president of the board, Sana, has set up a salad bar that has been generously donated by the great folks over at Recovery Room. So we'll have a big salad bar. We'll have a few prizes that we'll be auctioning off. We'll do some chipboards, and obviously we'll take donations. But it's all in support of the programs at the Good Fight Community Center.
So the Good Fight Community Center, again, located in downtown La Crosse on 7th Street, if I'm correct. Nate, is your new location, truly becoming one of those pillars of our community, and especially helping to fight, as you've mentioned, the lack of food. And I know that this is something that it seems crazy in America because we waste 25% of our food every single day. By statistics, we actually throw away 25% of our food every day. And that's horrifying when you think that 25% of kids, Nate, according to statistics, are actually food insecure on a daily basis. And that's no different here in La Crosse. You mentioned donations. Some people might not be able to make it out Saturday. Perhaps they've already got things planned, but they want to become a part of the solution. What's the best way for them to reach out to you guys at the Good Fight? Is it at your office? Is it online? And possibly get in contact about making a donation or even perhaps volunteering?
So today is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. If you look at our Facebook page, I'm doing a fundraiser for the Good Fight right now, and I have a donor who has agreed to match any donations that were made up to $5,000. So potentially, I could raise $10,000 from donors online on Facebook. If they donate there, once the donor sees that, they're going to write a check up to $5,000 to match those donations. Otherwise, there's plenty of spaces on www.thegoodfight.club. That's our website. You can go there and always donate. You can send a check. You can stop by, bring a check, and take a tour of the facility and see the kids and see the work that we do in the afternoon. It's pretty amazing. We had about 36 kids in the space yesterday, and it's just an 8,000 square foot family space. My assistant director gave it that name, and it's like, she's absolutely right. It is that.
Well, I'm super excited for Saturday. I did already tell Sana that I was going to be coming by the Moose Lodge at some point between 5 to 8. Now, she did want me to purchase a ticket from her, not you, because you have, I guess, competitions going on, Nate, between the two of you, and I'm not going to say anything about throwing a pie in the face. I think that's just completely off brand for this year. But she did want me to purchase the ticket through her. So what is the friendly competition between you two this year to see who raises or who can sell the most tickets?
Well, here's the thing. The tickets from her are $15. If you buy from me, I'm going to go ahead and discount your ticket by $5. So it's only 10. So you purchase where you need to, sir. You make that determination. I'm not going to push your buttons in any direction. I'm just saying that for you, not for all your listeners, because I ain't got money like that, but for you, because it's personal now that Sana went out and did that. I got a one-upper on that. So.
Wow. So, Matt, this is creating an interesting competition here because I already said to Son I would, but maybe what I should do is buy two. So I'll buy one from her, buy one from Nate, and see if we don't invite somebody over. Again, the money's going to a great cause. Nate, I know that you've mentioned our friends at the Recovery Room, and they're great friends of yours. They're great friends of mine. I'm going to make Matt embarrassed and just let everybody know he's really stepped up. He's donated not only the salad bar, but $1,000 as well to the cause.
I want to wish you a happy birthday today, Nate. Not only are you a pillar of society for us, but you've been a pillar of society, a friend for me for over 10 years. So if there's anything I can do to wish you a happy birthday, along with that, you served our country. The least thing that we can do is pay it forward for you, sir.
I really, Matt, I'm gonna go one step further, and I'm gonna tell you a story if I can have just 2 minutes of your time. When I first started the Good Fight, I received an award called the Jefferson Award, and when I went to the Jefferson Award dinner, I showed up in a pair of beige slacks and a blue colored jacket, totally or black colored jacket, and totally mismatched, and took the award and everything. And so Matt calmly invites me down to Recov, and he found out that I was supposed to go to Washington D.C. For this big dinner because I had not only won the national award, but I then won the regional award. And he took and collected money from all of his bartenders and himself and staff. And those guys bought me a suit and tie and shirt and socks and shoes. And at the time, I just didn't have the money to do it. And he says, "No, you're representing our community, man. It's important you look good, that you look sharp." And I've never forgotten that kindness to me personally. And he has always been a supporter of the good fight and always been an amazing friend in the community. So thank you. You're the brother that I didn't have growing up.
Anything and everything for you, sir.
I appreciate you so much, Matt. Thank you.
Nate, this is just one of those times in which, we're lucky as a community to be able to, not only, bring you on, talk to you, and promote the Good Fights Spaghetti Dinner again coming up Saturday 5 to 8, but we're lucky to just be in a world in which you're here too and helping out these kids, because the impact, and I've spent time on a lot of different a lot of different economic planes, and when you're in one of the lower economic planes, it can feel hopeless. And oftentimes, if you don't have somebody like yourself, an institution like the Good Fight, a place like the Recovery Room, to be able to find some community and some, and some friendship, you can feel hopeless, and that hopelessness feeling that can turn a lot of different ways. So, from all of us, and I speak for all of my audience members, Nate, thank you so much. I mean, this is one of those instances in which we can look at you and say, dude, this guy's doing it, and he's doing it for real. And we should all do, if we can, our best to help it out. Again, I'll be there Saturday night. I'll see you there. I'll buy a ticket from you. If I see Sana before, I'll buy one from her too. But I like your style, and I'll take the $5 off, because that's just, that's the kind of guy. I can't look a gift horse in the mouth. And Nate, I appreciate you for what you're doing. And thanks so much for coming on the show this morning, man. I want to have you back in another couple of weeks, though, because today we're getting into an interesting conversation about what our favorite sports movies are. I'm a huge boxing fan, and I know that you and I, we could go back and forth on some boxing. So I want to bring it back in a couple of weeks and talk about some of our favorite boxers, some of our favorite fights over the last 25, 35 years, and see how much we actually do have in common when it comes to just boxing. Sound like a deal?
Count me in. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you about your train set, Nate.
You would. Yes.
Nate, again, it's been just so awesome having you on the program this morning. We'll continue to promote, again, Saturday, 5 to 8, Moose Lodge, Southside La Crosse. $15, you get a spaghetti dinner, great salad bar donated by the Recovery Room. Again, lots of prizes, fun things to do, and supporting an institution, an organization that really is trying to help the kids. Nate, thanks so much again for coming on, brother.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'll look forward to being on in a few weeks. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
See you Saturday.
We'll see you Saturday. That's Nate Coleman from The Good Fight. We got to step aside. I want to say what's up to our good buddy Kyle Cable at One Trust Real Estate, the official real estate provider of the Sports Carnival. We'll be back in about 45 seconds and continue on with what's been a robust conversation about sports movies. Also, what's your favorite professional all-star game? We've got the NBA All-Star Game this upcoming weekend. Not sure if you care, but I'd be interested to see what your favorite all-star game is. Stick around. Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
At the Little Doobie's Pizza, we kill 2 stone birds with 1 rock every time with our hand-rolled Doobie Deluxe for only $49.95. That's a street value of over $75. No way! The Doobie Deluxe is a hand-rolled 18-inch pizza that will blow your bone-resonant mind. Whoa! Topped with the sausage, black olives, extra cheese, and about a half ounce of the finest kush at east side of San Bernardino.
Dude, give me another slice.
Because at Little Doobie's Pizza, we put a little TLC in our THC.
And right now, for a limited time only, get an order of crazy cannabis bread for only $10 with an order of a Doobie Deluxe at the street value of over $22.50.
You know what we say at the Little Doobie's Pizza? Why get stoned then eat when you can do both at the same time?
Doobies.
We're back, Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center Studios, powered by the Recovery Room. Want to send a shout out to our friends over at the O'Neill Law Firm as well. Downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Sean O'Neill, family, bankruptcy, even criminal representation. I've used him for a couple of things, Matt, and he has really helped me out. Also, our friend Joe at Helping Hands Landscaping is here to pick up your snow when there's heavy snow, your yard waste, or if you just need your yard to be mowed and blowed in the summertime, and even your Nash throw up and dog poop. Like, those are things that I think Joe could help out with too. Now, I haven't ever asked Joe if he picks up human vomit, but he does pick up dog poop if you need him to.
Woof.
I know. Woof, indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
Hopefully the bartenders can handle that. And if you puke, basically, if you have to throw up, go to the toilet, go towards the garbage can.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the urinal or sink,
that's a bad look.
Bad look.
It's a bad look. Nate was just fantastic, and I'm super excited that we've got guys like Mike Byers checking in this morning and Thomas UWL saying, what a great guy. Nate Coleman from The Good Fight is a fantastic human being. I'm so glad that I've gotten a chance, Matt, to know him over the last number of years. Really, I got to meet him through you guys over at the Recovery Room. I went to their first location when it was downstairs underneath the King on 5th building, right? And saw what they were doing down there. And now the new location is right on 7th Street. It's right past Cass. You got the little roundabout, and you'll see The Good Fight across the street from the old Pizza Doctors. Essentially, you can find it from there. Check this place out. And again, if you're somebody who is inclined to donate because you've got the wherewithal, you've got the means, consider an institution, an organization like The Good Fight. This is a local organization that's helping local kids. And I'm not saying anything against big national charities, but you know where your donations are going to go when you donate to an organization like The Good Fight. You know, it's just like with the Wafer Food Pantry here, who I've talked to their folks numerous times throughout the years. These are local organizations making real impacts locally, and I appreciate Nate coming on. I can't wait until we talk to Nate about boxing though too, because dude, boxing was my first favorite sport when I was growing up. It's interesting because on our Facebook group page, I've still got the only 9% of the vote there for boxing. Football movies are the most popular according to our audience members so far. Baseball comes in second. Hockey comes in third. And then we've got everybody else fighting for scraps. Over on our Twitter feed, at the Sports Carney, 75% of those who have responded, Matt, say the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is their favorite. Second is the NHL All-Star Game. Third, the NBA All-Star Game. Not a single vote yet for the NFL Pro Bowl. I'm almost wondering if the NFL Pro Bowl, especially after what we saw, the flag football was fine, but I'm wondering if the NFL Pro Bowl hasn't just seen its last days. Because what are they doing this for other than a television property, right? Like they're playing water balloon catch. They've got guys, competitive arm wrestling or whatever fucking shit they had. Like, I just wonder if this thing has reached its crescendo and now needs to maybe just morph into something completely different. I'm sure they'll do something for a Pro Bowl celebration because it does make money. There is commercial revenue. But, dude, it's really kind of embarrassing. And football's like boxing. You can't have like a fake boxing match. People are still going to get their fucking heads knocked off, right?
To me, the NFL, it's gone. Remember when we were kids and they had the competitions like on the beach and the Pro Bowl, and then that stuff was fun. That like the crazy stupid shit with the stars and all the stuff. That was fun for us to watch. It was better than what the fucking shit we watched the other day.
That's true. That's true.
And I guess when you go to the NBA, it's what are the two things that everybody looks for when it comes to the All-Star game? It's the 3-point competition and it's the dunk competition. And the dunk competition hasn't been shit. And for the NHL, the only thing that I think everybody cares about is how
the skills competition.
The hardest slap shot.
Yeah.
That's about it.
The NHL skills competition for me has always been one of the, I mean, that's a dazzling display. To watch guys skate, use their sticks. That is something to behold. The NBA dunk contest, I agree. When we were kids, one of the premier events, right? In the 1980s, in the early 1990s, one of the premier events. Do you know why that was, though? Because the big stars back then didn't make $45 million a year. So you had Michael Jordan going against Dominique Wilkins. Larry Bird was in the three-point. Dude, that was awesome. By the way, Nate Robinson might be my favorite little guy dunker of all time.
That's
5'5", dude could jump out of the gym. But you know what they're doing this year in the dunk contest? They're bringing a guy into the dunk contest who's not even in the league.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's not even in the league. And this is where I think the NBA would really be benefited. Just because it's the NBA All-Star Game, why do you have to have just NBA players in these dunk contests? Because I watch a lot of basketball videos across social media, right? There are incredible dunkers out there. They might not be incredible all-around basketball players, but some of the most incredible dunking athletes.
You go to the and one guys.
Right, or whatever that is nowadays, right?
That's.
Bring that shit into the competition, okay? You don't need to give the three-point shot over to, whoever, because NBA guys are going to be the best three-point shooters probably. But the dunk contest is something that I think you could really open up and expand. And then you know what the NBA could do, and I'm just thinking on the fly. You could make a year-round tournament, okay? You could set up, like city by city. You could go through the country and even through the world, if you will, and set up these tournaments where guys are dunk battling against each other in competitions. We love brackets. You bracket these guys off until February when the All-Star Game, and say the 5 best dunkers from the world, the country in the world, get to come and compete against 1 or 2 select NBA players. That, to me, would be something that would raise that bar like right up here. You get a shit ton of content. I'm just saying, this is something I'm working out in real time, but there's something to that, I think.
I think that'd be more enjoyable than anything else. And I guess I'd throw this the other way around, not only with the dunk. Let's bring back like people like Shaquille O'Neal or Greg Ostertag and make them shoot the 3-pointers.
That's good.
Let's watch these. The
Greg
guys
Ostertag. I like that pull right there.
The guys in the NFL or the NBA that can't shoot a 3 to save their life. I'd rather watch them embarrass themselves and watch the guys that I can actually knock down 9 to 10.
I like that. I think that's a great idea. And you know why I'm tickled right now? I hadn't heard the name Greg Ostertag except for coming out of my mouth in maybe 25 years. I'd like to see big country Bryant Reeves. Remember him out of Oklahoma, played for Vancouver.
Luke Longley, all those guys back in the day.
Luke's got a passport problem though.
I think
he's stuck in Australia right now. Yeah. Trempolo Badger was checking in with us again here this morning on Twitch. Trempolo Badger says, I know it's a golf movie, but are we sleeping on Caddyshack? Still hilarious. Listen, golf is another category that I should have put in. I said other, and that could be the catch-all, but golf movies are fantastic as well. So we can go with Caddyshack, fantastic, not Caddyshack 2. That movie is just trash, but Caddyshack's great. I'm also a huge Tin Cup fan. That was a great movie. The one with Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore. I know that's kind of a hockey/golf movie, but it's really a golf movie.
There's actually a Happy Gilmore out there in the high school right now, is going by the name Happy, and he is winning high school championships, and the kid's going to try to make it to the PGA. So there is actually
Are you kidding me?
There is a Happy Gilmore out there.
Interesting.
And he actually has it the drive down because people always ask him to do it. So this kid just goes up there and he whips the ball. It is crazy. I've seen the videos. This kid's a real deal.
I like it. Well, I think that Bryson DeChambeau, I know he's a bigger guy and he doesn't physically resemble Kevin Costner, but Bryson DeChambeau is essentially like what Kevin Costner was in Tin Cup. Remember, Kevin Costner was like the golf hustler in Tin Cup that was like the golf pro playing on some, I don't know, desert golf course. Did you ever see Tin Cup?
Oh, well, yeah. He's so obviously you have Rene Russo is the love interest in that.
Cheech Marin is in this.
Cheech Marin's the caddy.
We need to watch that today.
Go for it, Roy. Just go for it, Roy.
Dude,
ball Romeo. Ball Romeo.
Okay.
Ball Romeo.
This is getting fun because I like how many interactions we're getting on this. Breacher at first propositioned us with an idea. Maybe we do movie nights at the recovery room. Okay. Well, if we do that, one of the first golf movies that I want to see up there is Tin Cup because I just love that. And again, I think Bryson DeChambeau reminds me a lot of Costner in that film. He's got this big drive competition. He goes out and actually gets into a long drive competition, basically fucks his way off of the PGA Tour in so many respects. I think he is actually a golfer for that Live Tour now. I think DeChambeau's in that Live Tour.
He is.
But needless to say, I could see him ending up on like some Arizona back alley, trying to pick up 50 or $100 from a guy and hustle him out of a golf game. I could see that.
Why can't it Crockett? God, Miami Vice. He's the anti-hero.
Don Johnson?
Don Johnson is the asshole in the movie.
Yes.
So when they go for the long drive and they bet on it, and then Don Johnson just hits the golf ball down the fucking highway, and it just goes forever and ever and ever. It's like, that's why you're never going to win, Roy. At the end, Roy gets Renee, and that's all right.
Yeah, that is all right. Boy, Renee Russo.
Smoking in that movie.
God, was she amazing. I'd like to see a picture of Renee Russo right now. She's one of my favorites. Her and from the 80s, Chrissy Teigen was fantastic. Elizabeth Shue, I think, is still one of my favorite actresses from that time.
And I'm sorry, now that you brought up, I believe it was not Susan Sarandon. We haven't even brought up A League of Their Own when it comes to baseball movies. Tom Hanks. There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah.
Sorry, that one always still gets me.
Listen,
it gets me.
That's a good movie, and Tom Hanks is a fantastic actor. Now, the bastardization of A League of Their Own that they put together on Amazon Prime, I refuse to engage in.
Yeah,
I refuse to engage in that.
And I guess this brings up that we talked, and I don't know where we're at on time. Sorry, I'm getting to this, but we brought up how NBA players eventually are going to go into the Hall of Fame, and obviously they don't wear jerseys, but if they go in, like baseball players wear a cap. This, you and I brought up. I think the NBA players eventually, when they get the Hall of Fame, are going to be like A League of Their Own at the end of the movie, where they don't even remember who the hell they're playing with. It's like, oh, I remember you. I saw you. Is that you, Dottie? Oh, hi, Russell. I remember you back in the day.
Russell Wilson, kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. No, you were good for a while, weren't you? Yeah,
I was going to Russell Westbrook for the NBA.
Russell Westbrook, yes, good call. Big Lebowski, Morning Woods popping up and says the Big Lebowski, awesome bowling movie. There aren't a ton of great bowling movies. There is that. There's Kingpin, right? Kingpin
movie,
probably
is the bowling movie.
But see, that's because the Lebowski's more of a that's got so many layers, right? There's so many layers to it for me to call it a specific bowling movie, but that's one that I saw in the movie theater. I'll never forget. 1997. I want to say it came out 1997. I go to the theater. I'm in Camarillo, California, which is maybe 50 miles up the coast from LA, where I'm living at the time. I go to this movie. There's 3 people in the theater. I sit down. I had a big doob of Stack's Family Farms.
That's right.
CBD. Yep. Total CBD.
That's where I was going to go.
Legal in the state of Wisconsin. So I had a big doob of Stack's Family Farms, and I figured, what should I do with myself? I'll go see this movie. I sit down. The fucking opening scene happens, and then Bob Dylan's A Man in Me blasts across the screen. And as a huge Bob Dylan fan, I sat back and my 17-year-old self said, this is going to be a great event. And it was. It was awesome. And that's still always held as one of my favorite movies.
The Dude Abides.
The Dude Abides. The dude in Mike Byers, our favorite Texan in Wisconsin, says Glory Road. That's another solid flick.
There's so many out there that honestly we're just going to have to create a bracket. That's something that I did mention, Dave, before. Obviously, when we have the NCAA tournament coming up, maybe we'll just put together a movie bracket for everybody to help us fill out when we get up here in a week or two.
I like this. No, listen, I know the NCAA tournament was mentioned by Thomas earlier, said we've got that coming up. Yes, we do have some stuff to talk about. We really do. It won't be like we're in a desert of sports. We do have NBA. We've got NHL. We've got college basketball, and really and truly, guys and gals, we know the NFL never stops, right? The new league year is going to start in March. As soon as the new league year starts, we start to see quarterback dominoes falling. We start to see guys, put on new uniforms for new teams. We're going to be all back into the NFL anyway, so we'll be fine.
Got the draft coming up, obviously, and then I'm sorry, not just throwing out there because I used to be somewhat of a Bears fan, but it's going to be a lot to see what happens going up with the 1st pick to the 4th pick.
Ooh, big.
We got Aaron Rodgers, obviously coming out of darkness. Tiki Barber came out earlier today and said that the New York media scrutiny would he'd be too sensitive.
Agreed.
For the New York media.
Agreed.
So there's plenty of stuff for us to get around, obviously movies, etc.
Absolutely. And then we've got Trempolo Badger. We'll leave Trempolo Badger and Rob Dog, the last 2 entries on our movie list. Trempolo Badger says Sandlot, again, fantastic. And that's why we needed to make a whole category, right? Baseball, basketball, football, hockey, auto racing I put up, boxing, other. I probably should have made a specific golf one. Sandlot's a great movie. And Rob Dog, he says Little Big League and Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Little Big League.
Those ones, here's the thing with those movies. Those movies are okay if you're a kid, like a little kid. Those aren't going to hold up now. Like, I couldn't watch Little Big League or Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield. I couldn't watch those movies now.
Little Big League, I believe, is with Ed O'Neill. or so I can go back in the day. Just when the kids put the Tums in their mouths or whatever, and they start foaming at the mouth. That's about the only scene that I can still go back and probably enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. There's not, it's not completely unwatchable. Right. I just don't know if it would hold up.
We need some Stax Family Farm to watch those.
That's right. Stax Family Farms. And God, Johnny Watt, I hope to see you soon. I'm not taking a shot of Malort though. That's not going to happen.
Hey, Malort brings out the pineapples.
And it brings out a little bit more than just those. If you give it a couple of shots. Well, we've had a fun one today, guys and gals. Really, really, really appreciate y'all chiming in here. It's been great to talk about sports movies. You've got all day to take the poll question on our Facebook group page, and you've got all day to take the poll question on our Twitter feed at The Sports Carney. So what's your favorite all-star game, and what's your favorite kind of sports movie? Again, Recovery Room open at 11. Matt, you and I will be down there getting folks ready for our specials today, spicy or traditional gyros, and of course, we have got the shaved prime rib au jus sauce, onions, hoagie roll, fantastic. This is the day many of our regulars really, really look forward to because, again, prime rib and gyros are going to be there. So we'll see you soon downstairs at the Recovery Room, and we'll see you back here bright and early tomorrow on the Sports Carnival. Y'all have a great day. Talk to you soon.